a former firefighter whose face was horribly burnt while fighting an inferno that he frightened his own kids, has been offered a brand new face in the most extensive transplant ever carried out. Pat Hardison currently dons the face of 26-year-old David Rodebaugh, who passed away in August following a cycling accident. The surgery that was the riskiest face transplant performed to date has left Pat feeling normal once more, and is must restore his impaired sight as well. He was informed he had only a 50% chance of surviving the operation. However, it was a risk he was prepared to take. Pat stated he had been left horrifically deformed, that young kids, including his own, flee screaming at the sight of him. This 1999 family photo provided by Lori Taylor shows her brother Patrick Hardison, with his two daughters, Avery, left, and Allison in Senatobia, Miss. After being badly burned in a 2001 blaze, Hardison, a volunteer firefighter, has received what appears to be the most extensive face transplant ever, covering his head and much of his neck. The surgery, announced Monday, November 16, 2015, took place in mid-August 2015 in New York at the Niu Lang-on Medical Center. Courtesy of Lori Taylor via app, Pat's face had melted off during an inferno at a mobile home in Senatobia, Mississippi, on 5 September, 2001. The Tennessee man spent 63 days in the hospital and was offered the resemblance of a face with flesh removed from his thighs. Pat had lost virtually all of his eyelid tissue, lips, most of his nose and ears. Due to this, he was not able to see clearly. When he went back home, he remembered how his three young kids, Avery, 2, Dalton, 3 and Allison, 6, were frightened of him. He humorously informed them and other curious kids that he had fought a bear, but they ran crying and yelling when they saw me. In the agonizing years that followed, Pat went through 71 surgeries, at a rate of roughly 7 yearly, to attempt to reconstruct his eyelids, mouth and nose using skin grafts. His ongoing ordeal meant Pat quickly went into depression. Although he had 2 kids, Cullen and Braden, after the accident, the impact of his accident placed an enormous pressure on his family life, and after a decade of marriage, he and his wife Chrissy separated. More tragedy followed when he was confirmed bankrupt and lost his home. Pat afterward explained that during the years of painful surgeries and recoveries, he had gotten addicted to painkillers that impacted on his new tire shop business. Pat's story was first disclosed in an interview with the New York Magazine. Finally, a church friend of Pat's wrote to Dr. Rodriguez, who had carried out a 2012 face transplant at the University of Maryland Medical Center. The medic stated he would try to help, and in August 2014 Pat was put on a waiting list. This combination of August 15, 2015 to November 11, 2015 photos provided by the New York University Lang-on Medical Center shows the recuperation of Patrick Hardison after his facial transplant surgery in New York. Hardison was burned September 5, 2001, in Senatobia, Miss. A 27-year-old father of 3 at the time who'd served for 7 years as a volunteer firefighter, he entered a burning house to search for a woman. The roof collapsed, giving him third-degree burns on his head, neck and upper torso. Mary Spano, Eduardo D. Rodriguez, WIS Department of Plastic Surgery, Niu Lang-on Medical Center. Via app he required a donor who matched his blood type, skin color and hair color, and also skeletal structure. 1 year later, Rodebaugh was identified as a likely donor by Live On, the NGO that seeks to transplant tissue and organ in the NYC area. Rodebaugh had crashed and struck his head in July this year while riding his bike. Some weeks later, the hospital pronounced him brain dead. When his mum was approached by a representative with Live On regarding donating his face, she accepted, noting how he had constantly wanted to be a firefighter. Rodebaugh's kidneys, heart, and liver were as well donated to other patients, together with his skin tissue, corneas, and bone. At the time of the face transplant, Dr. Rodriguez took out the face of the donor and scalp, which include the muscle, nerves, tissue and the outer skin, as the surgical team took out the skin on Pat's face. Rodriguez after that placed the donor face on Pat's and attached the blood vessels. Over 100 medics, nurses, support, and technical staff participated in the 26-hour surgery, carried out at the Niulangon Medical Center in mid-August. Now 3 months later, Pat is still recuperating, but with his new eyelids and more operation, is expected to get back a normal field of vision for the first time in over 10 years. Pat will have to continue taking medicines to stop his body from rejecting the transplant. Lastly, a casual observer won't notice anything that is strange in Pat's new face, that it will be a blend of features of his original face and the donor's. Rodriguez stated. Pat stated his new face has already made a difference when he is outdoors. He currently looks forward to doing motivational speaking and assisting wounded veterans.